What do you hold on to when life gets tough? I remember sitting in that OBGYN office with just a glazed look as she was going over the options for this 12-week-old fetus inside myself who was no longer had a heartbeat. And she was telling me the options of how we get all these cells out of me. I remember walking to my car. I was parked in a parking garage, and I sat there, and as this truth, the depth of what had just happened sunk in, of knowing that I wasn't going to get a chance to have this baby. And at the same time, I also knew that the father of this child, who I was completely in love with, I knew that he would leave as well. I knew that he was only sticking around for this baby, and I knew that I would lose him as well. And the depth of those feelings, and so many times we're alone in those moments when deep, tragic, dramatic things happen. We're alone. Luckily, I had someone to call, right? I called my mom. And then the following days of being all alone in a new apartment in Ojai, California, of just how do you process information like that, right? What do you hold on to when life gets tough? Gosh, I don't know how this year was for you, but there are so many things, not necessarily that happened personally to me, but within my family and friend circle, there's so many hard things that happened, a motorcycle accident, leaving one of my friends in a lot of pain. My sister's horse died. A great client of mine, she lost her husband of 30 years this year. It's just, there's so many things today. I can hardly even talk about it. I'm so emotional about it. One of my cousins in Germany, his funeral was today. He died very unexpectedly this week. And it's just, there's so many things in life that just hit us. And particularly as highly sensitives, where do we find footing? Where do we find hold in order to stabilize our own emotions and to know that we won't just sink down into a bottomless, dark hole? So today I wanted to give you a few, or really 4. I wrote down 4 things that I hold on to, 4 things that I have kind of built up within my tool belt, right? So much of the last 20 years of my life has been about introspection, about understanding myself, about figuring out that I'm highly sensitive and how to deal with that, of building relationships around me and really fortifying myself, of understanding how I can handle deeply emotional situations so that I don't have to fear getting stuck in sadness, in depression, in fear, in anxiety, in overwhelm. What are the tools that you build up for yourself? So the 4 things that I wrote down that I have honed for myself to hold on to are the people around us, right? Particularly your significant other, but also your family, your friends. Number 2, good, strong habits. Number 3, your religion or spirituality. And then number 4, introspection, right? Cultivating a deep sense of self-worth and confidence, and then honing skills like being able to visualize and purposely shift your emotion, your vibration, your frequency to a more desired, more uplifting, more, a space where you can breathe, right? Where you can kind of reconnect, come back to your center, come back to yourself and connect and breathe. So let's start with the first one, right? Do you have at least one person in your life who you deeply trust, who you could tell anything to, even the things that are most embarrassing, even the things that you're most afraid of? Is there one person who you can confide in? Is there one person you can call or text when you're really needing somebody to be there for you, to at least talk on the phone? Maybe, well, not everybody's in person, right? My two closest people aren't here in person in the city either, but at least these days we can FaceTime, we can, we can call each other and we can be there that way. Just somebody who deeply understands you, who understands what you need, maybe even more than you do in that moment, and who can be there for you. I also love to build that deep connection with my significant others. Like, that is the number one prerequisite in my relationship these days, and it hasn't always been that way. Now, when I look back on it, I was like, what was I thinking with some of these men that I chose? Did I really think that this person was going to be there for me in case something happened, in case there was an accident, in case I was diagnosed with a disease, in case somebody in my family died, in case there was a big trauma, big tragedy? Would this person be there for me, to be there by my side? That would definitely be, gosh, if you're just in your 20s and starting out to date and you catch yourself with the wrong guys, write that one on the top of your list. Will this person be there? Does he or she have this capability of being there for you when you need somebody to hold your hand, to hug you, to understand you, just to love you through anything you might be going through? But I also wanted to say, don't despair if you currently don't have that one person, right? For me, so long, I always thought it had to be somebody other than your family, somebody other than your siblings, somebody other than your significant other. It's like I always wanted that like deep friendship with somebody, but that's not so easy to hone. Some people have an easier time with it. It was never one of my strengths to build such a deep friendship with somebody. So even at the moment, if you don't have that one go-to person, that one person you can be vulnerable with, don't despair. Ask yourself if this is something incredibly important to you, and if it is, then make the effort. Be open to it. Journal about what is keeping you from it. Have you had bad experiences? Have you had experiences that keep you from wanting to engage again? What is it? Go to meetup groups of like things that you enjoy doing, hiking or poetry or read a book club, whatever it is, similar interests, and see if you can maybe meet somebody that way. But if you're decided, hey, I'm okay the way that I am, or I'm waiting for my significant other and he'll be the one who is there for me, it's okay. We'll be talking more about, I guess I'll be in probably last one, point number 4. We'll talk about cultivating that deep connection with your higher self, with your inner being, with the larger part of you. And that can certainly be that person for you, right? I mean, it's harder when they're not here in this physical realm, but even angels, guides, maybe someone who has passed and is, whatever you want to believe, still around in spirit in the other realm, however you want to believe that energy still being around you, right? That is also a stabilizing force, is also a source of comfort for you, right? Let's talk about point number 2, having good habits. I would say that starts with a morning routine, right? If you set yourself up, particularly as a highly sensitive, if you set yourself up to have a good day on a daily basis, when something traumatic happens, at least you're already in the flow. You know what you usually do, and your habits and your morning routine is gonna give you that safety and stability and that comfort. So particularly when you've built yourself good habits and a morning routine to where you're already going out in nature, exercising, meditating, doing yoga, listening. That's a big part of my morning routine. Listening to something that inspires you, something that makes you feel like you are understood, that somebody is thinking along the same wavelength as you, right? That kind of feeling. If you've already built that into your everyday habit, then when something happens that throws you off, you have that morning routine, and that's going to already give you comfort in that morning routine, right? Let me know in the comments below if there's something particular that just like has to be part of your morning or has to be part of your day to make you feel good. I always talk about the bliss list, right? Bliss list is so amazing, or the 5-minute mood changers that I call them. Do you have a list of things that feel so incredibly good to you? Something that uplifts you, something that makes you smile, a song, a list of songs that make you feel really good, or your favorite park to walk in, or do you like to lay in the sunshine? Do you like to watch a sunset? Do you like to watch the stars at night? Is there a favorite cozy sweater you like to put on? Is there a song you like to dance to? What is it? Like a 5-minute mood changer. What would be your favorite place on earth to go to travel to? Can you look up pictures of this beautiful place you would like to be, right? Can you look up a funny video? Those are all like 5-minute mood changers, kind of on your bliss list of things to do during the day. When you have already built that into your day, you already know things that make you feel better. Then when you're having a hard time, then when something is going on with you or a friend or a significant other, you have a little bit of stability, a little feeling of coming home when you're in that routine for yourself, right? So we already talked about surrounding yourself with people, right? Or at least with one person who you can trust, who you can be vulnerable with, who you can truly express yourself with, and whatever is going on inside. And then number 2, building good and strong habits and having a morning routine, right? What do you do on your day-to-day basis that already sets you up for building resilience and for having that strong sense of habit and continuity to return to when something hard happens, right? And now let's move right into point number 3, religion or spirituality. I grew up Catholic, right? In Germany, I grew up as Catholic. After my parents divorced, my mom stopped going to church. My dad would still go to church. So every time we were at his house, we would go to church. I remember being about 12 years old. I remember distinctly like looking at the pictures in church kind of depicting the what is it called? This was all in German, right? It's hard for me to find the vocabulary. The crucifixion of Jesus Christ, right? There was like a depiction of like 20 different images. And to me, as a highly sensitive, this was so hard to look at. It seemed so cruel that it just didn't make sense to me. As well as, learning about religion, learning about the Crusades, learning about killing for religion, that just was so harsh and so hard for me that I just could not find my own truth within religion. If you have a religion or you have found a religion that makes you feel embraced and at peace and that gives you that stronghold, that gives you that community, that gives you a sense of I'm home, I belong, I know that this is true for me, wonderful, continue with this. I think it's so incredible. If not, maybe you are in the interim like I was, right? Like I said, at 12 years old, I remember making that decision of like, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to go to church. This doesn't ring true for me. But I also remember kind of floating in the space of nothingness and not believing in anything and distinctly wishing or like being envious of the people, like my aunt and uncle or my cousins or my grandparents who very strongly believed in this God, who very strongly believed in Jesus Christ. And I was like, I was envious of them because I saw how that gave them a stronghold, something to hold on to, something to believe in, and to kind of find reasons and meaning in when something difficult happened in their life. And I didn't have anything like that for quite a few years until finally, just through reading different books and really mostly personal development. It was always a little hint of spirituality because my mom was very much kind of in that direction. Not that I ever remember us having a conversation about it, But she always had lots and lots of books, and she was also always very encouraging of those things, right? So through that, I somehow kind of got into kind of the realm of spirituality. I became a massage therapist through that, continuing education, right? You kind of skirt the outskirts of like law of attraction. That was the first big book that came to me, right? Abraham Hicks was the first spiritual teacher that was my number one for many, many years. I still love to listen to them. They're Channeled Being by Esther Hicks. I have all their books, and that was the first time when I opened a book and I read the first page of the first chapter, and it felt like a coming home. It felt like deep peace. It felt like finally somebody was putting words to what I was feeling was true for me. And through that, it just grew from there. And by now I have just built myself just such a deep understanding of what my world is about and what I believe in. It feels so much better to me to believe that I'm not alone in this world, and that there is something much beyond this world, because to me it would be just way too cruel to think once our physical body dies, we're forever gone. You know, I believe much different from that. And even believing that you have this higher self, that source, that inner being that you can tap into at any point in time is so reassuring and so calming for me. So what is it for you that gives you that sense of hold, that sense of stability? What do you believe in is true for you? Do you believe that there are guides, physical or non-physical? Do you believe in angels? Do you believe in a guardian angel? What do you believe in is true? Write that down for yourself. So often when we're in these moments of something traumatic happening, we don't remember, right? Because we're in this frequency of trauma and we don't remember all the tools, all the wonderful things that we have access to that are at our fingertips, right? If you're into religion, if you're, read the Bible, you might be reading a particular passage. For me, it's usually more like a card deck, or I journal and I write to my guardian angel, or I write to my guides to ask for guidance, right? What do you believe in? Sometimes I also find peace within like astrology, what is going on, or like a tarot reading, right? A psychic reading, all these different things that we have access to. What is it that is meaningful to you and that gives you a sense of peace, a sense of stability, a sense of knowing, a sense of meaning, making sense of this world and the difficult things that happen? Because that is much I wouldn't say easier, but it helps you to come back around and to see the duality of this world, the good and the bad, and not to sink too deeply into the bad, but then to also remember there is the other side. There is beauty, there is love, there is inspiration, there is passion, there is joy, there is fun, and coming back around to it, right? So let's get into point number 4. I wrote a lot down under this one, right? I would say the biggest one in point number 4, which is introspection, self-worth, honing the skills of being able to visualize and being able to shift your emotion, your vibration, your frequency at will, right? Something really hard just hit you. How do you shift out of it, right? How do you know when it's time to sit with it and process with it? And when you just need a break and you're afraid to like fall into it, how can you deliberately shift out of it to give yourself a little bit of break? That was really the most amazing thing that I have taught myself as a highly sensitive, because our emotions are so intense, they're so up and down, they're so volatile, and just massive, right? They're so crazy, they're so intense, they're just amazing when you're high flying and in love and passionate, but it gets really scary when you're down in fear or in anger or in depression, particularly, right? In grief. it gets very difficult. But the more that you hone these skills and the more you show yourself that you can, at any depth, get yourself back up and really purposely direct your emotions, now you're free, right? That to me is true freedom. Because in your mind, you can control what thoughts you think, and you can steer your body and your mind and your emotions in the direction that's better for you in that moment. And if you're curious, kind of the first little taste of this, I've put together a 3-step guide how to shift any emotion into a better feeling space, right? Download this little guide on my website, healingyouremotions.com/shift. That kind of gives you the first little steps. I mean, it is a complete kit. With these, you can shift any emotions into a better feeling space. 3 steps. But it's really the basis of my work. I love emotions. I've really, they used to be so hard for me, but now I love them. I love my emotions. I love the intensity of emotions. I can even now see the beauty in those darker emotions. And I would love for you to come around to that at least a little bit, at least to the point where you're not fearing those darker emotions within yourself. Yes, why did I mention introspection, self-worth? I feel like that is where it starts, right? There are going to be hard things in life. There are always going to be challenges. My goodness, this year has been particularly tough on my family and my friends. And of course, since I'm an empath and I love to help and I love to be there for people, it's been challenging, but I've been able to, be there to uplift others and also to be there for myself to make sure that I don't sink too deeply, and also to be there for my 6-year-old, right? When you're a kid, it's so much easier to just like get hard news and then you're like, okay, I'm gonna have fun now. It's amazing how quickly they can shift. So introspection. If I hadn't had all these years of doing the work of really doing deeply introspective work, mostly with my journal, but also with books, with workshops, with people who I would talk to, coaching sessions, psychic readings, all these different things of just like this never-ending hunger of getting to know myself and what I need and what fulfills me, and what else? Building that self-worth, that self-trust. I mean, so many years in my early teens and early 20s was spent not really liking who I am, pretending to be somebody else, wanting to be somebody else. Once you come around to like deeply loving the essence of who you are, and then being able to be gentle with yourself to kind of guide yourself into the personality traits or skills that you do want to hone and incorporate into this wonderful being that you're steadily becoming. That makes it easier when something hard happens in your life, because you already have much more of a sense of purpose, of belonging, of meaning, of contribution, all these things that pull in together, right? And then the last one I wanted to mention on this step number 4 is visualizing. Visualizing. Have you honed that skill of visualizing? I think this is something that highly sensitives should really lean into, because we have this deep sense of being able to imagine, being able to feel into a situation. So particularly when something difficult happens in your life and you just need a break from all the intensity of the emotion, can you imagine, can you visualize yourself in your favorite place on earth? What is the favorite place on earth? Is it at a beautiful beach? Is it on a mountaintop? Is it in a gorgeous forest? Where do you imagine yourself to be? Is it in a meadow or at the foot of a great big old tree? Is it by a stream? What is your favorite place on earth? And can you imagine yourself being at this place? Close your eyes. Imagine yourself being at this place. What do you hear? What do you feel around you? What do you smell? What do you see? Is there anyone with you? What is the sense that you're getting from this place, right? For me, it's always a gorgeous beach. So it's like I imagine feeling that sand, that soft, powdery sand between my toes. I imagine hearing the ocean waves and smelling that salt in the air. I imagine feeling the gentle rays of the sun against my cheeks. You know, when you start to hone those skills of visualizing, and you go there over and over and over again, you sink deeper and deeper into that particular visualization, and you can build yourself that favorite place, that peaceful place to retreat to. So anytime during the day when you get overwhelmed or overstimulated or anxiety hits you, can you go back into that visualization of your favorite place? And that is one of the quickest ways to really reconnect to yourself, getting back into your heart space, into your heart center. And once you raise your frequency, then you have access to so many more things. And that is one of my favorite exercises, and I think an easier one for highly sensitives to get to, because we are so keen, right? Our senses are so wide open and we connect so deeply. So let me know, comment below, what is your favorite place? Where do you visualize yourself to be when you just need a moment of peace and relaxation and ease? Well, that wraps up our 4 points, right? Talking about how can we build ourselves a stronghold? How can we have something to hold on to when life gets tough? Let's quickly review. We want to surround ourselves with people who deeply care, or at least one person who you can talk to, who you can confide in. And like I mentioned, if you don't have that particular relationship in your life right now, it's okay. You always have that relationship with yourself, with your higher self, with your inner being, with source, right? That is the number one connection to hone anyway. But then it is also nice to have somebody in this physical realm who you can talk to and you can get a hug from, right? Number 2, building those strong habits. Make it a daily thing. It doesn't have to take very long, even if it's just 5 or 10 minutes. What can you listen to that inspires you? What can you build into your day that gives you a sense of purpose, a sense of belonging, a sense of freedom, a sense of this day was worth it. I love my life because of this, even if it's just this small aspect for now, and building in these habits that make you more resilient, right? Like exercise, like who do you listen to that inspires you, that furthers you, that really help you with deep introspection. Point number 3 was religion or inspiration. What beliefs, what values do you have to hold on to? So often I talk about the I do believe list, right? What do you believe in? What are your fundamental beliefs about life, about death, about good things happening or bad things happening? What do you believe in? And the thing for me is always, particularly when it goes about life, death, religion, God, source, all those things, when they're things that can't really be proven, right? What can you believe in that serves you? If it can't be proven anyway, if there is a guardian angel or not, right? We kind of have to take the word of people who can see these creatures or interact with these creatures. If there's no proof that they exist, how about you choose for yourself? Does it feel good to believe in this entity or does it not? Does it ring true for you? If the belief, I go by that, right? If the belief serves me, if it feels good to me, then why wouldn't I believe in it? It serves me, it feels good to me, it helps me to make sense, to make meaning of this life. Must be a good thing for me. And I write myself this I do believe list of the fundamental beliefs that I have. And that list has saved me so many times when I get really upsetting news, right? Like the story that I had told about my kiddo being 12 days overdue. He was 12 days late, and they were going to induce me on day 14, and I had the ultrasound on day, 12, I guess. And everything's going well. The woman is talking to me, and all of a sudden she gets very quiet, and the mood shifts. And as a highly sensitive, I can tell, oh my gosh, something is wrong. What is she not telling me? What is going on? I'm freaking out. I'm getting anxious. I'm getting nauseous. And I'm just like, why can't she say anything to me, right? I had to wait like 15 minutes until the doctor came in and told me. And it's just like, in those moments, what do you hold on to? If I pull out my phone, I look up my I do believe list. And when it's written on there, I do believe that everything always works out for me. If that is one of my fundamental beliefs, that life is good, that life is for me, that everything has meaning, that everything works out in a way that is truly meant to serve me and whoever is involved, that helps me so much to get over whatever news I'm about to get, right? To integrate, to be okay with, to process. So make yourself that I do believe list of those fundamental beliefs, those values that you hold. What is life about? It really will serve you. And then the last point we talked about, point number 4, doing that introspective work, working on that self-worth, on that self-love, and honing those skills of visualizing your favorite place on earth in order to learn how to deliberately shift your emotions so that you can take a break, so that you don't fear getting stuck and getting sucked into the depths of despair, because it does not feel good to be down there. But once you build those tools and you tuck them into your tool belt and you know that they are there to serve you whenever you get to a hard spot, a breaking point, you have more confidence. You feel more at ease. You'll have that. I mean, it's still going to hurt like hell, right? There are things in this lifetime that are just, oh my gosh, so unbelievably painful. But at least within the deepest pain, you will feel that tiny little spark of grace, that tiny little spark of hope that you will get through this, right? That is really the biggest part of the work that I do. And right now I'm designing 33 days, right? I'm gonna launch it just after Christmas so that you'll have it right at the beginning of the new year, so that if you're stuck in something, or you're feeling like your life is hard right now, or you're just feeling like everything's on a continuous loop and you're not getting anywhere and you're not enjoying your life, you're not feeling deeply fulfilled, you can go through this as slow or as fast as you want to. 33 days, 33 lessons. This is going to be part of one of them, of learning how to have the right tools for you in order to build an enjoyable life, in order to build that resilience, in order to build for yourself what you need in this harsh but beautiful human life here on earth, right?